welcome. We're here doing the Musée Magazine Person of the Year award video series. My name is Farah. I am a member of the Musée content team, and today I am here with Maria. So Maria, tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of what you're involved in here at the U.
Yeah, so I'm a sophomore. I'm a management information systems major at Carlson. And in terms of what I'm involved in, it's kind of all over the place. I work as a program associate at the Institute on the Environment, and I'm also a Carlson School Ambassador. And I serve as Secretary of Programming for NABA, which is the National Association of Black Accountants, which is just a name. We're not actually accountants. It's like an org for kind of like all Black students interested in business and technology and all of that. Kind of helps connect people to professional opportunities, and so that's been one of my favorite things I'm involved in lately. And yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, so you mentioned that you are a management information systems major. Mm-hmm. What kind of drew you to that particular area of study at Carlson?
Yeah, so when I first started at the U, I actually started as a PSEO student. And I had been going towards doing computer science, and as I was moving ahead in that coursework, like it was just really dawning on me, like I kind of hate math, and I was like, me going up to like Calc 10 or whatever, not happening. It's not
the vibe.
It's not the vibe. It's not my aspiration in life, and so by the time I was in my senior year and applying to come back to the U as a freshman in the fall, I decided to apply into Carlson specifically because of the management information systems major. It allowed me to be kind of more on like the strategic side of what I was learning about, in like my CS coursework. And yeah, it was like, I feel like it was such a great decision for me. Like I really love the major, and
awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So would you say that like PSEO really helped you like kind of specialize and figure out what you liked as opposed to trying to figure it out later on?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because when I was a PSEO student, I was literally so all over the place. Like I had started out pre-med, which is like so funny now to think about, but I was like pre-med and I was like trying to do like biomedical engineering, and that lasted like a semester and a half. But like where I have landed, I feel like is so different from where I like started out when I first came to the U for those first 2 years. And yeah, I'm
Cool.
glad I got to do all that kind of exploring before I decided on a college.
Yeah.
And for free. Shout out to PSEO.
Saving money.
Yeah.
No, that's always a plus, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Great. Okay. Well, you're also a Carlson School Ambassador.
Uh-huh.
So what does it mean to you to advocate for Carlson and for your school? Like, what does that mean?
Well, that's a good question. I feel like the ambassador program, what we do is so much more about advocating for students in many ways. Like, I'm specifically an outreach ambassador, and so a lot of that work looks like going out to schools in the Twin Cities that have the AVID program, which is a program to help students, get to college who might otherwise be facing other barriers that stop them from getting there. And so in many ways, it's less about advocating for Carlson specifically and more so about trying to give those students like an opportunity to see somebody like them who's in college and can talk to them honestly about like what it takes to get there and what it's like to be there and everything. And that's what I find so fulfilling about that work, is that like I'm just so glad that I'm able to provide that in a way. So it feels in many ways like it's less advocating specifically for Carlson and more so like for students who, are marginalized in different ways and would like to end up in Carlson or in any college anywhere,
That's great. Well, yeah, and I love that you use that as an ability to like help underserved like communities and people, and that's really awesome. So how do you feel that, I guess, that work kind of relates to your work with NABA, the National Association of Black Accountants? Is that what you said?
That is, yeah.
Great. Okay, cool.
You got that quick.
Thank you. Yeah, so I guess how does that kind of relate to the work that maybe you do with that organization?
Yeah, so NABA is actually working with students who are already in college, But the thing about navigating business or any of those sort of areas, so much of it, is like around who you know, who you're able to get connected to, and even having access to like recruiters and that kind of stuff. It's like so hard. Carlson is a space that makes it easier to get through that sort of things because as a dedicated business school, like those sort of needs around like having access to like recruiters and whatever are like met in different ways. But the student group is not solely a Carlson group, and because it's Carlson affiliated, but a whole lot of our constituency is outside of Carlson, we're kind of able to take those resources that Carlson has and those like relationships and be able to connect that to students who wouldn't otherwise have access. And so that's what I really appreciate about that work. It's super fun and fulfilling, and it's like an amazing community, and like we have a blast and everything. But it's like actually like the barriers for being able to like get into business and get into different like those sort of spaces is like a lot low key.
Yeah.
And so it almost feels like levels the playing field in a lot of ways.
Awesome.
Yeah, the organization motto is like lifting as we climb, and I feel like in many ways like it's kind of corny, but like we actually are able to do that, you know?
Oh my gosh, no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Great, cool. So, and then you also mentioned that you are a program associate at the Institute of Environment here at the U.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what, kind of jumping from business and accounting and, information management, what inspired you to get involved in, that particular field that maybe seems a little bit different from what you're already involved in, I guess?
Yeah, it's interesting because I came across IONE literally on like the U of M like job board listing. Like it wasn't something that I had specifically sought out, but what really attracted me to the position initially was like as I was getting to know the people I was going to be working with and like my supervisor and everything, like I've been given so much agency within that position and like a lot of responsibility, which is something that in different student jobs I've had, like I didn't, have.
Sure.
Like, it's really kind of amazing the amount of like development I've gotten to have like professionally and everything within that role and doing work that actually like impacts people. Because a lot of the work that I do there is more so around helping run like a scholarship program I was really focused on for a couple of semesters, helping to launch and develop an internship program that connected students to unpaid internships and allowed them to get funding for them. And now what I do right now is more so centered around a program that helps students who are interested in social entrepreneurship actually get funding and develop ventures. So it's different, but it's really cool and like fulfilling.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like, a lot of the times like women are told that they have to choose one thing and be one thing. And I think it's really cool that, you're able to explore and that you feel empowered to explore like different, areas and, just different things and be multifaceted like in that sort of nature. So I think that's really cool. Great. So obviously you're very involved on campus. How do you manage, your time? And I imagine you're very busy. How have you kind of developed that skill set?
GCal, for sure. Like, I don't know what I would do or be without Google Calendar. But also kind of just like, I had a mentor who told me a lot about this idea of prioritizing what you're involved in around like what fills your cup, like what like does it for you in that way in terms of feeling like this matters to me, this is fulfilling to me. And that sort of guided, because I'm definitely somebody who can like get over involved. I do it all the time. I love to sign up for things, but that sort of helped me to identify what it's best for me to invest my time and my energy in, and also get something back in terms of like feeling like I, have helped somebody or contributed to something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in terms of like not overcommitting, like that's something that's like guided me. in terms of like management of my time and everything, that is a work in progress. I'm still working on it. It's been a lot of like yerba mate and a lot of like, you know, trying to stop myself from pulling all-nighters too much.
Gosh.
But
yeah. Well, and it's so easy to get burnt out, right?
Yeah.
But like you have to make sure you're like taking time and like not overcommitting, right? So I can relate.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's great. So you're also involved in kind of some various different competitions, Boston Scientific, Accenture, those sorts of things.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is kind of your favorite part about kind of the more competitive side of things, I guess?
Yeah. I have I don't even really know how I ended up getting involved in different case competitions. Like, I don't know, but they've just been like really fun, both in terms of like helping me determine what I like to do in terms of like problem solving, like how I work on a team, especially as I'm like preparing to, you know, go into the real world and everything, and like identifying what areas I'm interested in working in. I don't know, they've just been like super fun and allowed me to like apply different areas of like coursework and everything in a way that's like enjoyable and not an exam, which I think is great.
No, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I guess my final question, and just as a general, you know, thing for the people who are watching and the people who read our magazine, what kind of advice would you give to someone who is kind of just starting their journey through university and at Carlson?
Oh, Carlson specifically?
Sure.
Sure. Find your people. And I feel like that's actually less like a Carlson, but like in general, like starting college, you know, find a space where you're going to be able to like ground yourself and place yourself. Within such a huge university, like before I was able to kind of find like my space and my people, like I just felt like I was like floating through space, like, because it's a lot, you know, this university is like massive and everything. And being able to find spaces where I could find community allowed me to, you know, start thinking about leadership and, you know, like actual meaningful involvement. I don't think that I would have been able to do that if I hadn't like found a community that made this university feel small, you know?
Sure. Yeah, well, I mean, and that's great. I mean, I know I'm a commuter, so whether you're, you know, a commuter or you're living on campus, like, you know, having those people that you can go to is so important. So,
yeah. And so that, like, for me, when I first came to the U in, like, my junior year of high school, like, that was the Black Student Union and the affiliated organizations. Like, that's how this university stopped feeling like this massive, huge, impersonal thing and started feeling like, oh, I go here. I'm part of this, you know? And whether that's through affinity groups or, like, through different things within, like, your college or your major or anything, I think that having that is, like, so important and really helpful in terms of, like, being able to adopt different leadership roles and all of that. But
great.
Yeah.
Well, Maria, thank you for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're really grateful to get to speak with you and kind of ask about your journey. So we're really grateful to have you. And yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.